not looking to be supplied. I'm looking to be the supply. I want a direct link. Wholesale. My product, my rules.
Watching this season of Raising Kanan, I mentioned we've never seen Rock's back against the wall like this ever before, or approaching to a point where she's gonna have her back against the wall, because she's not quite hit rock bottom. She has gone through tough times before, she's had battles with tough enemies, but I made reference to how Season 4 was Ghost's biggest test up to that point. He found himself in jail, he was taken out of his comfort zone, where he was no longer in control, he was governed by others' rules. Everything seemed way too messy and chaotic for someone who thrived on being in control over every single move. And I feel like it's very similar for Rock in Season 4 of Raising Kanan. We're slowly approaching that particular stage, because it seems like she is beginning to lose control. They're beginning to isolate Rock. Unique's hitting her operation as a ghost, and she has no idea who's hitting them. Andre was taken out in 402, who again, was very crucial to Rock staying one step ahead of law enforcement. I still think Joe Proctor is the best lawyer they've produced on Power, but imagine Ghost without Proctor. And then there was Richard and Sunny in 403. You've got Marvin making mistakes, and also making moves behind her back, the latest being Early Tyler, which I'm sure will definitely backfire at some point. It's just a ticking time bomb. For those who haven't seen my Marvin breakdown, this is definitely worth a watch. But that's not all. You add in things such as her pregnancy, her mother Joyce Thomas is also dying, where they're opening up a box of old wounds with the Thomases. So her personal life is definitely a little crazy. She has this ongoing tension with Quan because of a 20% price increase, and while all that is going on, in the background, Kanan is making moves behind her back. They're firing shots at Rock from every single direction this particular season, and there's only so many bullets one can avoid, which is why I still have Unique as a major winner come the end of Season 4. But this is the topic of discussion for the rest of this breakdown, her relationship with Kanan, him going behind her back, but how episode 404 might just change the relationship in the short term. I'm also going to run through what could end up being the final straw, the final nail in the coffin for this relationship, but we are going to get into all of it for all things Rock, Kanan, where she is with Unique, and just some general thoughts on her connection with the Afghans as we approach the mid-season mark of Raising Kanan Season 4. Now, heading into the actual start of Season 4, which was actually episode 402, we found that Kanan was finally working under Rock. They've been having a back and forth for a long time in Raising Kanan. They have had moments where she did teach him a few things, but she's always wanted to keep him out of this world. But as Unique once said in Season 1, he was her and Defcon's son. He was in this shit before he was even in this shit. So Kanan was always going to be in the game with or without her. In Season 1, he approached Marvin, where they ran a little side hustle together. In Season 2, he started doing his own thing with Famous on the streets, taking some product from his mom's stash. In Season 3, he started the whole weed operation, but later then partnered with Ronnie, where he got the introduction to Snaps and Pop. And I think she's now thinking the same as Tasha did, where Tariq gave her no choice. She taught Tariq the game back in Power because she thought, it's better than him doing it with someone else or on his own. He's better off under me, where at least I can kind of keep an eye on him. So, in Season 4, he's been getting his work from Rock. The tension is definitely still there, we can all see it, we can all sense it, but I think they've been moving with it because it just works at this moment in time. However, the problem with this relationship, now that they're in business together, she knows deep down that she still can't trust Kanan. Quite ironic after all the things she's done. But anyway, we move.
It's one thing not to be able to trust my son. I mean, I can almost live with that. But I have to be able to trust my business partners.
So she said it herself in 402. It's one thing not being able to trust her son, but she has to be able to trust her business partners. And I think we were all saying at the time, it's only a matter of time before he goes behind her back, because we all saw the season trailer where they did tease he was going to approach Stefano. That's something we saw in 404, which was actually orchestrated by Snaps and Pop. They were the ones who made the parlay happen with Quan, and then Quan gave him the introduction to Stefano. Snaps and Pop are very clever. They saw the lack of trust between mother and son in 402, and they're now beginning to play on it. Wendell Pierce did an interview where he mentioned, they do see him as a revenue stream at first, but I think they're going to look at him as if he's the heir to Rock's throne eventually. So why not have this kid working for you? Why not mentor him and nurture him? The dynamic is going to be real interesting because it is going to be a tug of war between Snaps and Rock. Now, what could actually give this relationship some kind of hope is basically after what Kanan learned in episode 404. Sure, he went behind Rock's back to meet Quan and Stefano, but when he did, he actually learned about how Rock ended up being hit with a 20% price increase from Quan, and she's the one who took that 20% hit, at least for Kanan. When Quan mentioned this in conversation, he acted as if he knew, but he was definitely surprised, because Rock hasn't mentioned anything about a 20% price increase, at least not for Kanan. She's taking the 20% hit because Kanan is her son. Fast forward to this meeting with Stefano, he also made it clear he's very lucky that Rock loves him. She even took out a 500k loan from Stefano last season to save him from the whole planned kidnapping in 310. Again, something Kanan definitely wasn't aware of. She's done a lot of shit behind Kanan's back, manipulated him, lied to him, made him do some pretty messed up shit. The most recent is of course Detective Howard. But will Kanan appreciate that his mom has done all this for him in these last couple of episodes? Could this be the start of somewhat them kind of building a relationship again? Or at least trying to, at least attempting to, where Kanan realizes, you know what, she's still my mom's. Just like Joy said in 402, at the end of the day, Rock was still his mother. So I do wonder whether we might kind of see them start to rebuild their relationship, at least a little. Now having said that, even if they do, if they don't, I think it's way too late in my opinion. And I do also feel there is going to be one moment which is the final straw, the final nail in the coffin that completely tears his family apart. And that final straw could be if she called the hit on Famous. I've genuinely been thinking about this Famous situation for a while, and various different scenarios, trying to think outside the box, but we've spoken about what they could have done before, the flashback. Why are they leaving it a mystery, but bringing up the topic of Famous in every single episode? We've heard it from Duke, Marvin, Kanan, B. Rilla, Mr. Gelfand, Imani Okoye in 404, and also Lou. They've all spoken about this situation in some shape or form. And I do think we are getting really close to the answer. It may be in episode 405, it may not be, let's wait and see. But I do think with us approaching the mid-season mark, I personally think, or rather hope we do get the answers in 405. But I really wonder, with what Rock has done in the past in terms of calling the hit on D-Wiz, could she have done the same with Famous? Because if she has, and Kanan eventually finds out, then that really would be the final straw, because that would then be D-Wiz in season 1, and Famous in season 4. How do they even manage to rebuild their relationship after that? You also have to think, how would it affect the entire dynamics of the rest of the Thomases? If Marvin was the one who pulled the trigger, how does Duke react? This was also Lou's artist, someone who he was trying to mentor, but I really wonder whether this could actually be the final nail in the coffin that completely turns shit upside down. Just when Kanan was starting to begin to potentially reconsider building a relationship with Rock after learning about her taking the 20% price hit, and also listening to Stefano mentioning how much Rock loves him.
And your mother, she loves you so much that she borrowed $500,000 from me.
I think raising Kanan will always revolve around Rock and Kanan. The showrunner Sasha Penn has made it clear raising Kanan is centered around the Thomases. At the center of the storm, you've got Kanan and Rock, and then everything kind of orbits around them. And that's still going to be the case for majority of season 4 and also going into season 5. Everything is always going to revolve around Kanan and Rock. So this relationship will still have its ups and downs, and definitely a lot more downs, to the point where something will eventually be the final straw, that final nail in the coffin. Could it be Famous, or will it be something else? I think at least in the short term, Kanan will appreciate what his mom has done for him in terms of taking the price hike, and also learning what he's learned from Stefano. But in the long term, we just know it's not going to end well. I just really hope they don't run with a constant theme that they've done in Power before, where we've seen the father and son killings and shootings. I really do hope we get a different end, whatever they do in season 5 or season 6. That's if there is a season 6. I really do hope we get a different end. Now elsewhere with Rock, I do want to see how she begins to manage this new pipeline with her organization being hit. She's making some big promises to the Afghans that she can deliver, and they're going to expect her to, because if she can't, she's in some big trouble. And we've also had Snaps mention, I think it was in the season trailer, could be trouble or could be an opportunity.
Could be trouble, could be an opportunity.
So where there's chaos, there's always an opportunity, and I think Snaps will begin to realize when Rock's organization is under heavy fire, when he realizes Unique is back, he might sense an opportunity and try and kind of twist Kanan even more, have him make the right moves where he comes out on top. Meanwhile, when Unique shows up, that's going to completely throw her off, because he's going to be stronger than ever before. I'm sure he's going to have the backing of Phil Russo from New Jersey. He'll also have a new crew, and he's going to hit Rock when she least expects it. But when you take a broader look of season 4, it really is a chess game. A lot of players are making a lot of different moves. Rock's building her new empire, Unique's hitting Rock's operation, making new alliances. Marvin's also making moves behind Rock's back, although the wrong ones. And then you have Snaps and Pop sensing an opportunity with Kanan. They're beginning to put him in motion. There's a lot of interesting chess moves being played, that's for sure, and everyone's playing. It's just about who comes out on top come the end of Season 4, which I still think will be unique. But that's a breakdown of where we are at this moment in time with Rock, Kanan, her relationships and her operations. I think she's going to be in for a tough season ahead. I think she's going to have to manage some really tricky situations, and I also think the trauma she's going to have to face in terms of her personal life will also play a big part. Patina Miller already has teased it definitely will, and then there's also Joyce's death. How is that going to impact her? So that's also another added element we do have to consider. But let me know what you think down below in the comment section. Drop all your thoughts down below on all things Rock. But as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.